Join the discussion.
Hi, yeah, my name is Dante, or just Dante. I host a podcast named Dante, and I different topics, discussions, life experience, and yeah, basically question what's going on in this wacky world we live in. So yeah, happy to be here and be a part of this discussion, this topic.
Course,
Yeah.
thanks for being a part of it. I kind of just like dive in. My background is in HR. I graduated from the University of Ottawa, studied business commerce,
Okay.
specification in human resource management, just because I realized a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't know like their basic fundamental human rights within the workforce. And just myself
Yeah.
being a woman, let alone a woman of color, I experienced my fair share of discrimination and
Yeah.
harassment. Where I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just canceled my accounting background. I was like, yeah, I don't care about people's money. Now I care about people's mental wellness. Because at the end of the day,
Mm.
how much money you make, if you're going into an environment where you're constantly depressed, you have
Yeah.
anxiety before you even step in the door, like you
Yeah. Oh, I know those ones.
be relevant. So a
hmm
lot of times, at one time, I was working for one of the largest engineering firms in Canada, and being one of the youngest
Okay.
people there, um, some ageism was one thing that I was experiencing,
Yeah.
which limited me to a certain extent, but also made it easy for certain people to like pick on me on certain things as well. Um,
Yeah. hmm
Making things that weren't even a big deal, speaking to me in a
Yeah. hmm
manner as if I was a child and not seeing me as an adult.
Yeah.
And then also
Yeah.
coming from the federal government, like there would be sexist remarks
Mm.
then from men in suits. So it was always kind of like a different experience depending on the hierarchy of where I was working. And it got to a point where I was blessed to have around 500 employees under my belt when I was working
Wow.
in the
Nice.
firm. Yeah, and I got to
hmm
really make great connections with a lot of people, especially
Yeah. Yeah.
men, because it is a male dominated field. Um, and there was a lot of men
Yeah.
of color. And they were taught to me just about the difference in pay, that they realized like
Mm.
their colleagues would be making this much and they're not making that much. And I couldn't really say anything with the position.
hmm
And but I can inform them like, hey, yeah, based off your education or based off your previous work history, like you should be making less and you can ask for this.
Yeah.
Put in ways to make
Yeah.
you know like you could get more. And
Exactly.
I feel like that was a position that God put me in so that I can benefit others and then kind of help them and show them how like they can make a difference or how they can feel more
Okay.
comfortable being in the position that they're
hmm
in. Some crazy facts that I just wanted to throw out there too is when it comes to Black individuals, 35% of Black immigrants have experienced some form of discrimination or harassment within Canada. And what's crazy is
Mm.
a lot of um, Black born Canadians, 65% of them experience some form of discrimination or sexual harassment. So it's much higher
Yeah.
in regards to like systemic discrimination, direct or indirect discrimination. Women say that they get
hmm
harassed because of their bodies or the way they look. Sometimes their managers will pick on
hmm
how they dress, even though they're dressed like their counterparts, but because they have more curves, they'll be banned from wearing certain articles of clothing. Um,
Okay.
42% of Black Canadians have a bachelor degree, yet around 34% of them find it hard to get a job compared to other counterparts.
Mm.
So it's like the percentages are
Yeah.
high, the experiences are real, and I feel like it's important for us to just touch upon them and talk about them and people to realize, okay, yeah, I'm not the only one going through this. Like, it's great to
hmm
environment where more people can express um,
For sure.
their own experiences and make it a norm of us actually like sticking up for one another or sticking up for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess from my end, like, one of my, if we're speaking experiences, like one of my earliest experiences when I first, entered into the workforce. And I think that's super important for people to know. It's not like it's just going to be, oh, once I graduate college and da 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 da, you turn 15 and you get that first part-time job, it can start right from there. And I know from 15 to, for however long I was there, I always had this one manager that would pick on me specifically. You know what I mean? And it's almost like they would say certain things, or like they would treat me others like they would get mad at me for doing something and then literally buy ice cream for my colleague. You know what I mean? It's things like that where it's like, you see these things and you see it from early on. So it's like, I think one of the things is like, you can't let it really stop you. You know what I mean? Like, you can't let those things like get you, you know, do something you don't really want to do. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when you face those experiences, it's annoying and it can be frustrating, but like, it's like, obviously it sucks, but you don't want to like blow up the whole and over these little things, right? So obviously, like, that was something that I also was kind of afraid to do. It's like, I want to say something, but then I also want to keep my job. Do I say these things and risk losing my job, even if it's just a part-time job? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not really worth much, but this is my part-time job. This is where if I can't even say these things and, lose my job or whatever, then, it's not a really, it's just a hard, uncomfortable environment to be in those kind of situations. So, you can't really let them get you down or anything. I just stick to my work for the most part, if you know what I mean. Just, yeah.
No, that sucks though. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like what a lot of people would tell me. It's like they would keep quiet, they wouldn't want to say anything. Like, it's their one job, they need a paycheck, you already have so much anxiety for some people where it's just like, okay, like, and now I just want to go to work, do my job, make sure I do it correctly so no one can like reprimand me on anything or can say that I did anything wrong. Like, you kind of keep your head down. Like, you don't take a minute
Exactly.
longer than your break. You don't leave a minute earlier for your break. Like, you're very regimented
Exactly.
what you do.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I realized I was like that too. One of my first jobs was at a fast food joint. And I was so excited to have this job. I was like, okay, I could make my own money. But then when I
Exactly.
started, it was kind of like the way they were instructing me to do things would be different from how they were instruct my other colleagues. The
Yeah,
tone,
yeah,
the
yeah.
difference in tone. It's like they're speaking to you in like this type of disdain of you. It's just like, oh, okay,
Okay.
he works here. Just move back,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
Yeah.
and then at first you're just like, okay, I'm human. Like, why is this happening to me? And then from a young age, you start realizing, oh, wow, like, okay, it's not just work. There's politics
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah. And like, for me, like, I would always get these like requests from this one particular person, because when you work for these, bigger companies, it's not just the one manager. There's like 5 different managers for different departments and all this stuff, right? So it would always be like this one particular manager that would have this particular issue with me, where they're asking me to do things that have nothing to do with anything that's in my job description.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I have this story where, like, for instance, I went to a French immersion school. So on my resume, I have that I speak French, right? So this one manager, she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, well, we remember that, you have French on your resume. We know that you speak French. Well, this guy over here, he speaks Russian and we need you to translate for him." And then, why did you even come to me when I said I speak French? You know what I mean? And then it's like, "Oh, well, you can't use your skills to help the customer." And you know what I mean? And it's like, these sort of things that you can't even win in that situation.
And French, like,
Yeah.
okay.
And that is just like one of, I mean, like, it doesn't even make sense, because
Yeah.
one, my job description, like, not to give away too much information, but I didn't even really have to deal with customers too much. You know what I mean? Like, I could just do my job. You know, I don't have to deal with customers or anything. But this manager would actively seek me out, do something that takes me away from my job duties. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she'd be like, "Oh, well, come do this thing that's not relevant to your work," and then you would fall behind in your work, and then I can get upset because now you're behind in your work. And it's like,
Yeah.
which one do you want? Do you want me to translate Russian even though I don't speak Russian, or do you want me to actually, you know?
Yeah.
And it's these little things like you just see it. Like, it's like, you don't ask my other coworkers, you know, like, if they even speak other languages, if they know someone else in a different department that actually speaks Russian, like, why did you come and seek me
Out of all people,
specifically?
French immersion
People, yeah.
somehow equates to speaking Russian.
I know. I've never even been to Russia.
I was about to say, have you been to Russia? Like, was there anything on your resume that stated anything Russian? It was no, they saw French and they're like,
No.
okay, France, Europe, Russia. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. I have things like that. Like, you know, once again, you could be like, oh, like, you can just blow up and be like, oh, like, why are you doing this to me? And da da da, and whatever. Or you can be like, well, you know, I don't actually speak Russian, but, you know, you can find someone that does. You know, I'm just going to go back and do my work. You know, I don't even know any Russian words to say to the dude or whatever. But, like, you be polite in the situation, and,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, you just keep working, you keep pushing forward. You know, like you're saying, you have to do extra work just to seem like on the same level, you know what I mean? And even when you move further along in your career and you start to get into places where people expect to see someone like me in this building, you know what I mean? It's like you get there and people are like looking around like, what is this guy lost? Or you know what I mean? Like, it's it's kind of weird once you go back and look at these things, but
it's disrespectful in a lot of ways. Like, initially, at one point, like, I know a lot of people tell me they just try to cope with it, but I don't think it's really something you can cope with, because it's like, you know, yes, you go to work and okay, it's like you anticipate this is what's going to happen, or you expect this is what's going to happen, happening before, but it's like over time, it starts to take a toll on your body, and people think that they're coping with it, but then they slowly getting depression, or like they get some type of chronic pain or headaches. Like, I had one friend who would run back spasms, and I'm like, yeah, it's because you're stressed. You know, and you don't realize that the work environment is causing you to have this reaction. It's like induced, you know? So people don't realize harassment, like how it affects the body. And it's more than just internal, it can be external as well.
And those internal things also affect your performance, right? So like you're saying, if you're in a bad environment and you're trying to do good work, but then your back spasms every 38 minutes and, you know, it takes away from your productivity, like, you know, this is benefiting it. Like, the environment is making it harder for me to do good work. And because I'm not able to do good work, the environment gets worse. And then, you know, it's like a back and forth cycle.
Exactly. No, exactly. Because and then you're drained, right? At the end of the day, you're drained, you're mentally fatigued. Like, you're work, you enter work and you're already tired. It's like I would sit at my desk, and before even the first phone rings, I'd be like, oh, like, I literally started at 9 a.m. and it's 9:15 and I want to leave. You know, it's stuff. I would have so much passion and love for what I do, but it's just like because of the environment, because of the little like nitpicking that would come from it, mentally I'll clock out without even realizing I clocked out. And it's like before I can answer like 10 emails in like 3 minutes. Now I'm still stuck on that one. You know, it's like,
have you ever had someone say something that was like so out of left field that it like was wrong of them to say. It just left you like, it's like, did this person just say what they said? Like this, once again, this doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Like it like people can say things and it doesn't even seem like, it's like, how can you even think this way? It's like, I never thought someone could be thinking in these ways. You know, it's not even related to whatever. They'll something and it's like, whoa, like
Yeah,
I didn't even know like people could be
that way.
I don't even want to get
I've had, when I was a student working in the federal government, I took on in one section or one sector that I was working in, I took on more of a bigger role
Mhm.
than a student because they needed like an
Okay.
administrative assistant.
Okay.
So I took, well, two of my positions, but for one I did. I'm trying to say without saying too
Hmm.
much because it's like freaking federal government.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
right, and it was already kind of weird, like the environment, but like I don't know, it's kind of known that French people are more blunt, they would say, like more blunt
Yes.
and straight to the
Yes.
point. And it's like, oh,
That's what I learned when I went to Quebec.
yeah, yeah, I worked in like by Gatineau, so it was basically like
Okay,
I
okay.
used to go to school in
Okay.
Ottawa, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't speak
Okay. Yeah,
French,
yeah, yeah.
okay, so some of them
Mhm.
knew that,
Okay.
and they would still write a message or an email in French, and I would always have to
Yeah.
translate, right? And I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one
Hmm.
individual, she was like, I don't know if she was like a director or the director's assistant, but I don't know.
Mm.
She just did not like me. I guess I was too,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know if she didn't like that I was young and heavily educated, young, and I knew what I was talking about, young, black, a woman, and knew what I was talking about. Like there was something about me that just intimidated her and infuriated her at the same time.
Yeah. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I was assigned some project that I was working on, and my security clearance was only to a certain extent because I was still a student and I was
Yep.
waiting for me to get my
Yep.
security clearance. So I needed her to
Yep. Hmm.
send me documents because she has the clearance for it. And I
Yeah.
guess she didn't like that I followed up with her twice, or I guess she didn't like that I didn't ask her, I don't know, minion to do it so that her minion can like speak to her. Whatever it was, she
Hmm.
sent an email. She CC'd
Yeah.
senior director, the VP of that sector, my
Oh,
manager, my manager's manager, basically
oh my goodness.
bashing me, telling me that I don't have the right to speak to her in any way, shape, or form. She didn't
Oh
like
my
my tone
goodness.
apparently, and that I needed
Yeah.
a place as a student. Yeah, like
Wow.
it was a nice
Wow.
email. And initially, I was shaking like when I opened it because I was not just. All I
Hmm.
want for the document, like, oh, you got something like
Yeah.
this? It's encrypted. Here's the password.
Yeah. Exactly.
She took
Yeah.
the time to embarrass me. The way she crafted this
Hmm.
email, the people she CC'd in this email, I was like, okay, this is more than just personal. Like, you're here to attack not
Yeah.
me but my reputation. She knew
Hmm.
I was trying to get an indeterminate position, so that I was trying to just once I graduate, just smoothly transition into a full-time position there. And
Hmm.
I guess she was really working overtime for that not to happen for me. Um, and it kind of made me think like, wow, people would really go out of their way to like try and pause someone else's career or try to get you fired or try to make you look bad, all because you're doing your job.
Hmm.
Literally,
Yeah.
all because you're doing your
Hmm.
job.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Those like, and it is like you're saying, all for just doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because they feel a way by doing what you're supposed to be doing, it just naturally upsets them.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's, once again, it's one of those things where, see, I don't see as I don't see it as a thing that we have to like cope with. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like I acknowledge it, it's there, but I don't really I don't pay it
take it on.
no attention. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't even bother to bring it upon me. Like I think if you were to do that your career, every time someone slighted you, every time someone did this, and you just took like 3% of every time, that would weigh on you. And then by the time you're ready to retire, it'd be like, I hate everybody.
Yeah, and you're angry.
And you're angry and you're bitter. You know what I mean? So, you know, people they're upset, but at the same time, it's like you can't even really be upset
Yeah.
that the people are upset at you, because once again, it's a
what would you consider to be a solution?
reciprocal
Like,
thing.
what can people do to, I guess, combat this? Like, is it just being more aware of like the labor board or like their own constitutional rights? Like, is it people doing their own due diligence and, you know, reading articles and seeing how they can speak to their managers to let them know, like, hey, this
Well,
is discretion.
one of the things I think that we can do to combat this is we not only do we need more people in these spaces, like after I graduated and I started my career, it was like me and two other black guys in the office of like 300, 400 people. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you have like just more people around you, I think the company culture would just change over time. It's one thing to just, oh, we need to, you know, make sure these policies are there, like, okay, you can't discriminate or, you know, whatever, but also we need, you know, we need to be in those spaces more. You know what I mean? Like, there should be like, once again, I shouldn't be the only black guy in my department, let alone the building sometimes.
I hear you. Trust me. I would walk in the room sometimes. I'll be like the only person of color, and I'll just be looking around like, okay. And you stick out like a sore thumb, like a sore, and they'll be like, oh, you're cool. I'll be like, yeah. How did you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think my solution is like, okay, we need to, in these positions, you know, actually be there, be professional, show up on time, you know, don't be using, you know, street language and grammar at work. Like, actually be professional. Like, yes, you want to talk how you talk, but there's also, you're at work and not at work. And, you know, maybe this leads into the whole like code switch, because you don't want to, like, you know,
that's hard.
You want to be able to bring your culture, but you also don't want to, you know, ostracize yourself, you know, in a way. But the more we're in these spaces, the more we're talking to people, and even just bringing it up to a coworker, right? Like, you just bring it up to the next person, right? If you're in more spaces and you're talking just to the people next to you in like a real like grassroots level thing, I think that really makes a difference. You know, like, I remember I had to it's crazy, but I remember I had to tell one of my coworkers, like, bro, you can't be saying the N-word. You know what I mean? And he's like, why? I'm like, I'm not going to explain it to you. Just don't say it. It's just, it's one of those things you just say, like, I'm telling you, just don't say it. We'll leave it at that. I'm not going to fight you over this, or we're not going to go back and forth. That's it. You know, if you want to say it when I'm not around and you want to say it in the streets, that's on them, you know, but if you're in the workplace and I'm around and I want to, you know, welcoming, just like, hey, I heard you guys have been saying this, don't be saying it. I'm not going to fight you over it, and we'll leave it at that. So just talk to the person next to you, talk to your colleagues, like, talk to the coworkers, because you know, you can talk to the managers, but like you're saying, they're in their own world. They see the things they want to see. Like, you know, like, I don't even know what they see sometimes. Like, I have so many stories about just different managers seeing things that never existed before. You know what I mean? Like, but I just talk to the coworkers, the people that you work with, you know, your actual colleagues, the people that are on your level. Like, talk to them. Those are the people that actually carry the company culture. You know, as much as they say it's the managers, it's mostly the people that work. You know, so talk to them, and also be there. Like, don't be afraid to don't be afraid to be the only Black person in an office.
Yeah.
Be the first one, and then hopefully more people can follow suit and see he made it. That means so can I. And then next thing you know, there's 3 Black people, and there might be 8, and then next thing or another solution is start our own businesses. Start doing things for. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good solution too.
Oh. Yeah, employ Black people if you can.
Exactly.
Do Black art, creative projects. Just you can do that route as well, because someone has to do it.
No, I agree.
And you can't really wait for the next person. So
I agree.
yeah.
I totally agree. And like in regards to solutions, I feel like the more people that are in certain spaces, the better. Even like with women in STEM, I say the more women that can get in there, the better, because it's a lot of male dominated field. And like once you get one woman,
Yep.
you look up for the next. Even in certain positions, like sometimes people be like, oh, I don't see enough Asian people here. I don't see enough like Latinas or Hispanics. I don't see enough. It's just like, okay, once you get one person's foot in the door, try and get the next person. It's like, don't see it as a competition. See it as like, like a friendly help, a push, because like the more people talk about, oh yeah, we have like a diversity group or a diversity committee. And to me, like that's useless, because words on paper that people don't read. And it can say, don't say this to this person, you're still going to say it, right? If you don't have anyone there speaking in and implementing those laws, then it makes no sense writing it.
Yeah.
So I really believe people, if we live in Canada and Canada says that it's a melting pot of diversity, I don't feel like there should be any more excuses that people need to make and say, oh, I didn't know that this would be offensive. Like we live in 2023, there's social media, there's Google, like there's books, people can do their own research.
Even if he does, like, oh, I didn't know this was offensive, it's like, all right, well, you didn't know. We don't, once again, you don't have to go back and forth on it, right? Because I think that's a lot of the situation. People actually do enjoy the back and forth. They're like, oh, well, actually, no, I can't say this, or no, I can't. Like, whatever, you want to believe that, you don't have to say it. Just don't say it around me, or say it and then I don't have to talk to you. And it's that simple. You know what I mean? And this is not even like trying to, separate myself from the workforce, because once again, you are part of a team. So even if it's, you're working with all these different cultures, still, you still should prioritize the team. And when you can, you help your people, because when you're when you're not helping the team out, then the team's going to hate you. They're going to be like, oh, well, this guy's not pulling his weight. And once again, that's more reasons for them to treat you worse.
We wrap things up, I was going to ask you if you had any last things to say.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on. I appreciate this opportunity to talk about this subject. It is something that is very close to my skin. But I would say I would like to leave, the audience with this message, just don't let it get you down. It doesn't have to. If you don't let it, you can continue to do your work and you can continue to do great work. So if you focus on that and don't focus on the negative, who knows where you'll go.
Oh, yes, I love that. I want to first off thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much. You have no idea. It's one thing to tell someone that you're available, but it's another thing to show up. So I really want to thank you for just being consistent and just, talking about your own experiences and sharing your own experiences, and just also giving and providing motivational words to others, so people can realize, like other young men of color can watch this and be like, you know what, okay, maybe I was going to quit this job, You know, maybe you think you might quit here and you might not experience it somewhere else, but like
Yeah.
it's always going to be there, unfortunately. And it's just
Yeah.
ways that what we have to do is know our rights as individuals, know our rights within the workplace,
Mhm.
know your worth, know your value,
Mhm.
understand that it's
100%.
really not you. You
Yep.
know, it's the other person projecting on you.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like
Exactly.
wherever, if you believe in a higher power, like wherever God puts you, it's meant for you to be there. So don't let anyone try
100%.
to bully you out of your space, bully you out of your
Mhm.
position, make you quit your job, make you
Yeah.
feel like you're less worthy.
Mhm.
You are meant to be there. You're meant to excel. You're meant to get promoted. You're meant for great things, and we just
Yes.
have to
Yes.
stick through it and know that we are gold. We're golden.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 100%.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, it irritates them more when you go into work with a smile on your face, honestly. Like they're like, why the heck are you happy? We've been trying to give you shit for like 4 months and you're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. Just keep smiling and enjoy the work. That's one thing. Enjoy it and just do what you enjoy doing.
And
Yeah.
honestly, we moved like the older I got, the more I just started to remove fear from
Mm-hmm.
it. And I was like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You're already seeing me in this type of light. It doesn't matter if I do good or bad, so I might as well stick up for myself.
Exactly.
Like they already hate me
100%.
anyways. Yeah. So I'm like, I might as well stick up for myself and just make them realize that, like, yeah, I'm not putting up with it anymore.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
once you put your foot down and you realize, like, hey, I'm here for work. This is what my description of work says.
Yep.
I'm check marking all the boxes.
Yep.
If it's not about work, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, thank you, Dante. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And everyone,
You have a good
please
one.
tune into his podcast as well. Okay.
Yeah. You guys could follow me
Yeah.
at ChezDante, ChezDante. Follow me. I do podcasts and I have interesting conversations like this. You should come on sometime. We could talk about this
Yeah.
and have a great discussion. So
Definitely. I'll love
yeah,
to be on your podcast. We'll do podcast
awesome.
for podcast.
Sorry?
We'll do podcast for podcast.
Podcast for podcast for
Yeah.
sure.
I'll be sure to add your information below as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.